This is a Thor News presentation. Thor News presents
Worst storm in quarter of a century. Absolute monster. They were expecting phenomenal waves, possibly reaching 45 feet in height. That's crazy. A conveyor belt of storms. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to do my best to educate and inform you. A wet and wild winter is here. Water is dangerous. Water can do maximum damage. The United Kingdom is flooding. Look at this map. Looks almost like the whole island could go under. This is pretty much Great Britain. One position I do believe I have held consistent upon in the duration of Thor News, that no matter what over time, the oceans will rise. Flooding at Ethenley and between Towton and Bridgewater and Somerset means that all mainline routes to the region from London are closed. I mean, that is just a scary picture. The winds have whipped up waves of up to 35 feet in Cornwall and along other exposed coastal areas, prompting warnings that onlookers could be swept off their feet. Atlantic storm Ruth is brewing with 150-mile-per-hour winds and 75-foot waves. Defense is breached. The Environment Agency has 3 severe flood warnings, which mean danger to life, in place. 2 in Somerset and 1 for Chiswell in the Isle of Portland. The agency has also issued more than 180 flood warnings and almost 300 flood alerts. UK storms, coastal areas in west hit by renewed gales. UK weather, no respite from storms set to continue into next week. The Met Office has issued severe weather warnings, meaning be prepared for rain and wind across southern England and Wales until Sunday. Thor of Thor News have issued severe weather warnings across the globe, and that be prepared for anything, even beyond weather, across the globe. These are strange times. And maybe I wasn't wrong about Kama Ison. Maybe it was the harbinger of the century. And you know what? It's hard to get people into understanding the weather, atmosphere, nature, environment, planetary science, and the magic of the universe. So you gotta come up with simple, slick titles like UK storms. Why so wet and windy? You gotta throw wild in there, but I guess I say that because I'm American. If you think it's been unusually wet and windy, you're right. And if you've had enough of it, you're not alone. I don't know what that means, like, things are weird all over. How bad is this weather? Parts of England have had their wettest January in more than 100 years. And it's been blowy. The Met Office says December was arguably the stormiest month since January 1993. The Environmental Agency has 2 severe flood warnings in place, meaning danger to life. A third is in place in Chiswell, Dorset, where people were warned that rough seas could breach defenses and launch shingle over the promenade. Water pretty much destroys everything that was not made to be in water. And forecasters have warned that there is more extreme weather to come next week as Storm Ruth batters Britain, with gales, torrential rain, huge waves, and yet more flooding. Gusts of up to 80 miles per hour across southern England and Wales are causing power cuts, travel disruption, and damage to property, combined with a deluge of up to 40 millimeters of rain in places. The West Country is now completely cut off by rail, following a landslide on the line at Christchurch in Somerset. The Conservative Minister Prime for Bridgewater and West Somerset said that the river levels in his constituency are still enormously high, while being heavily critical of the Environment Agency for not dredging the area. We have been let down by London. On the ground, the Environment Agency are working hard. Up in London, I don't know what they're doing, which is basically saying, like, people usually pretty decent. It's the bureaucracies that run it all, and especially the politicians at the top, and the regulators that don't do the finest of jobs when they are needed the most. Dredging is often not the best long-term or economic solution. Well, it's Thor News' opinion, but I'm not sure that in the middle of a global central bank liquidity flood and a global Mother Nature flood that looks like it could sink the United Kingdom, Great Britain, I don't think worrying about the best economic solution is your primary concern. Environment. It's heartbreaking to think that people in charge to protect everybody and have them deal with the changing climate always have the best economic solution in mind. David Cameron overruled him and ordered the Environment Agency to step away from its opposition to expensive practice. Forecasters from the surf website magicseaweed.com have dubbed the storm an absolute monster. There are fears of structural damage from the high winds, which the Met Office has said will be as strong as 80 miles per hour, but some forecasters have said could reach 150 miles per hour at times, and flooding from the strong and powerful waves. The very strong winds are expected to last into Sunday morning. People were urged to stay away from coastal areas. Snow could also fall over some parts of Wales and Scotland. So whether it be 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 months, 10 years, 100 years, coastal cities are bound to go the way of Atlantis. So we gotta get prepared for that. I have my doubts about the plans we have in place now. Sometimes I think our education systems are about making sure everyone is a good employee instead of getting everyone prepared for the future. A week ago, the Prime Minister received a letter from local farmers last September in which they asked for government funds to help with flood protection and dredging. I would guess maybe farmers who have green thumbs and a good relationship with Mother Nature and can sense the subtle changes in the atmosphere and the environment and the animals had a feeling like I have had, though I do not have green thumb, that man, the upcoming storms could be bad for a while. So can we get some help, I guess is what they said. And the guy who is no longer Prime Minister decided no. Jacob Cope, a forecaster at the BBC Weather Center, says the winter storms have been no more intense than others of recent years. But we have had several big ones in quick succession, and that looks set to continue with another deep depression on Saturday. Well, I'll say this. I don't remember seeing cities like New Orleans totally flooded out, New York totally flooded out, seeing Italy flooded out, United Kingdom flooded out, Ireland flooded out, Colorado flooded out, major cities in Canada that I cannot remember at this exact moment flooded out. Before like 2001, you never saw that shit. Ever. I mean, maybe once, but not like 4 times a year. That's new, party people. Yes, the climate is changing because change is constant throughout the universe. Be prepared. Communities and Local Government Secretary Eric Pickles chaired a Cobra meeting on Saturday evening. You serious, man? I'm trying to be serious. I've been doing my best. Stay serious. These are very serious issues. How can I? Read that sentence again. Communities and Local Government Secretary Eric Pickles chaired a Cobra meeting on Saturday evening. Cobra from G.I. Joe is led by a pickle? Why, I'm not surprised. He additionally said an additional 1,600 Cobra personnel are now standing by across the South and can be deployed rapidly if required. And then he didn't end his quotes, but he started talking again. Yeah, and G.I. Joe, the comic book and movies, I guess, Cobra, they're not good guys. They're like Hydra. They're not necessarily good guys. They're more like mercenaries. I'm not saying that the fine military of Mr. Pickles' leadership is, I'm just saying that it's just have a bunch of Cobra soldiers to an American. That's just, Okay, what? Flood ambassadors. See, that's like a goofy name too, man. Flood ambassadors. Oh, guys, don't worry. I know your home is destroyed. Your entire family is displaced. You don't know what the hell's going to happen. Your town is gone. Don't worry. The flood ambassadors are here. America, we got ambassadors to countries, I guess. Over there, they got ambassadors to natural disasters. They have like tornado ambassadors. And I mean, this isn't funny. Saturday night. I've been offering practical advice for a year. Get the hell away from coastal cities. Shit's going to get bad. I don't know why. Well, the data. I just gotta put it. Unless we start to care about the planet and each other, we are doomed one way or another. Amen, and I agree. And he goes on to say, on the other hand, you lot are chicken nuts in a bag. I care. I just don't think the global plan is any good. I too care. And at this moment, I don't think the global plan is any good either. Okay, if NASA is right that comets are dirty snowballs, maybe comet icing was the harbinger of change. That it's going to snow, and then the snow's going to melt. So it's going to get wet and wild everywhere. And the oceans are going to rise. So you need a short, medium, and long-term plan to get out of coastal cities everywhere. I would imagine, if I was in charge of protecting everybody, as a recommendation I would make. I'm almost sure the oceans will rise, whether it be 1 year, 10 years, 100 years. They ain't going down. So that's life in 2014. Run, fight, or surf. Either way, be prepared. God bless everybody. If we just all come up with the right plan on how to do everything, I think we could adapt and adjust to everything pretty fast, especially if we worked as a team. I guess only if we worked as a team, really. I've never seen before heard the term chicken nuts in a bag. Did a Google search and found nothing. Could someone explain what that term seen and above comments means? Deep low of 951 millibars of pressure. Under pressure. Huge waves lash south coast as storm hits. A conveyor belt of storms. Absolute monster. Water is dangerous. Water can do maximum damage, not only in its ability to exert force, but in its ability to seep and soak, warp, damage, and destroy. Seriously, Great Britain, brace yourself.